Yo, what's up, guys? Aiden here. No fancy introduction today. As you may be aware from my last video, I am taking a bit of time off from the markets just for health related reasons. But I did sort of was aware that the market has been hot, and so I sort of came out for came out of semi-retirement came out from taking a break, really, came back from taking a break just to take a few specific trades. And I'm going to run through those with you today. They were all first green days. That is my favorite long biased setup and the setup that I'm most comfortable with. And I understand best, really. So NITO was the first one. So we can see here back in the start of January, 2nd of January, it had this huge multi-day run running from around 26 cents up to 350-ish, possibly higher after hours, and then had this big retracement, and I was looking to trade it on this day, on the 8th of January, for a possible bounce. Now, if you don't know what first green day is, again, please go and watch my video specifically on first green days. That would be of some use to you. I'll link that in the description below. So on this day, the 8th of January, if you jump to the 1 minute chart and go back in time, this day here that I traded it, okay? Now, if we go back even further, we can see this is the big run up it had, okay? Huge run up. And then over the course of the next couple of days after its run up, it has this drop off, okay? Now, on this day, I'm interested in it because one, it's had this huge run up and it's now retraced massively off its highs. I don't know what that is, maybe like 60-70% off its highs, and it was a very strong multi-day runner on its way up. So the chances are it is going to have a bounce. It doesn't have to, but I am looking for that potential. Now, this caught my attention. I was really watching this like a hawk, and I didn't want to miss it because I'm not sort of trading as much as I was, and I kind of my mentality was a bit wrong here. I was planning on playing really big size so I could make a lot of money and take even more time off trading, but it didn't work out that way. And the reason why it didn't work out that way was because I didn't stick to my plan. Now, when I saw it pre-market have this spike, I started to get FOMO. Okay, I started to feel like, oh man, I've been waiting so long for this trade, I'm going to miss it. But I did quite well. I didn't chase it at all here. I just wanted it to. I knew that I wanted to risk off this low here, which was 119. Okay, this pre-market low, which I like to risk off. So, but I started to get in. I think it had this dip around here, had about 135, 140 average. I started sizing in around here. Now, my plan was I took sort of like half position size. My plan was don't add. I wanted to put some on here as a sort of a big-ish starter. Just in case it didn't come back to these lows and it just ripped out the gate. So I wanted to leave half of my cash account available to me, so if it came down, I could add, basically. So that was my plan, and like I say, I took half here. Now, my emotions got the best of me, so when I saw this trade begin to work, I looked at my unrealized P&L, and I was up about $1,000 at this point, which is quite good for my small account. But on this trade, I really wanted to make a lot of money, and so I saw that $1,000. I don't know if you say a grand in America, but I saw $1,000 in my account, and I wasn't pleased with it. And so when it had this little dip, I just started adding. I just started adding. I think my lowest add was like 130. So I completely broke my plan of only adding once it comes down to this low. So when it did eventually break and I saw I was down 1,400, I just cut it. When it broke this low of $1.19, I just cut and looked at my unrealized P&L of, what was it exactly, minus 1,500, and I was just like, oh man. I wasn't particularly sort of like bothered, because I had sort of mentally decided that this is an A plus setup. If I'm wrong, I'm willing to take a big loss. This is the kind of trade that I want to size in for. However, not sticking to my original plan of only adding down here was the reason why I completely cut the trade and had no more capital to get back in. So I don't know how I would have acted, because it did break this 119 level, but there is a strong possibility, had I not been full position size, that I would have saw that, you know what, this is not really breaking. Yeah, it broke 119, but it's really struggling to break that. And then it double bottoms here, and then triple bottoms, and then quadruple bottoms. Okay. And that kind of, it reclaims here, it reclaims this pre-market low. It tried to break it, couldn't really significantly, tried again, reclaimed. And that is kind of, this is kind of very, very high odds now, in my opinion, that this is the bounce day, because it tried to break the previous lows and it couldn't, and then it reclaimed them. So I had to sort of watch this go without me. My ultimate price target was here of 260-ish. I definitely wouldn't have held my whole position for that. I probably would have taken off a significant piece at 2, which was another key level that I was looking at here, because of the resistance here. So I'm definitely was gutted that I sort of broke my rules and didn't stick to my plan and had to watch this go without me. I really did size in nicely for this one, and at the end of the day, I only have myself to blame, which isn't really the right phrase. I can just learn from that. And there are so many first green days that I sort of think about adding when the trade begins to work out, and then sort of don't, and it does retrace, and I get to add where I want to add. So that is kind of the rule for me to remember. These stocks can look really strong, but then all of a sudden they don't. So still, if you are adding, or you want to be still, getting as close to that risk level as you possibly can, so you don't risk getting shaken out like I did. So yeah, I missed that whole move there, and like I said, took my biggest loss in quite some time. So that was the first one to look at. The second one was again another first green day, PHIO. So let's go to the daily chart. We can see here, nice juicy first green day one move. I'm not quite sure exactly how much that is. What is it, like over 500% it looks like. So a stock like that moving 500%, although it is just a one-day runner, it was, what date is this? This is the 30th of January. If we go to despite it only being a one-day runner, it was a good first day one-day runner. It was quite strong. It wasn't just a one spike and done and failed. It kind of, it held, it pushed, it tried these highs 3 times, and it didn't sort of completely collapse on its way down. So I thought it wasn't as good, as strong as a setup as the last one, NITO, but I still felt this could have a bounce. Now the issue with this one, the one that it was just a one-day runner, it was strong, but it did do 2 offerings. It did an offering here, and it did an offering here. And offerings generally are, I would say, something to stay away from, because the fundamentals of the stock has changed in terms of looking for a first green day. However, these offerings were small in comparison to the amount of volume being traded, and in addition to that, we had another stock, DATS, DATS, that had a really nice first green day after doing an offering. And so, with these stocks, as some of you might know, once one does it, sort of the others have a better chance of following suit. So I kind of had that in my mind as well. I thought, well, you know what, DATS has done it. I probably will size in slightly smaller for this one, because it's not as good as the other one, but I will take it if I can get good risk reward. Now, So what I did, this was the first red day, second red day, and then I'm looking for a bounce. And again, I want to risk off, yes, the previous day's lower day. That's the current, that's, whereas NITO was the pre-market lower day. It's just the lowest point the stock's been managed to reach on its retracement. So I did take a little piece here out the gate, and then I cut instantly when it broke this low. Now, that's like a, it is, what is that, like a 5% drop, but you don't know, it could drop 10, 20, 30%. So I think it's better just to be safe, cut, and then reassess. And that's what I did. And when it sort of came, again, same as NITO, didn't really break significantly, and then came back and reclaimed this low. So I started sizing in. I think I ended up with about 260 average, still risking off this lower day. I wasn't going to go back and risk off this lower day because my thesis is it tried to break down, it couldn't, it reclaimed. So with this one, I did really well with my sales. I think my best sale was like 440, something like that. But yeah, I just kind of sold all the way up. And on that one, I made $1,150. Now, this is the thing, what this sort of really illustrates why it's important to sell into strength. I guess at all times, but especially on first green days, because don't get me wrong, I have to work on patience, but on the way, they are backside moves, and so they can, like this, absolutely collapse on the way down. So yeah, it took 1150 on that one. Sized in quite a lot smaller than NITO. NITO would have been my probably first ever 5-figure trade if I had stuck to my plan. So yeah, but maybe just a little bit sour about that one. But the reason why I sized in so big on NITO was just it was an A+ setup for me in terms of a first green day. This was great risk reward, and that's why I took it. But these offerings, definitely sort of this offering here, definitely sort of were something to consider. But again, if we look at DATS, let's have a look. This was its first green day. So that's had it at 7th of Jan. Go back. Yeah, this was an incredible sort of day one move, all the way from $2 up to 10, so a nice 500% move. But then this offering here, it is a strong first green day in the sense that it wasn't just a morning spike and done. It was kind of up all day. But yeah, I completely took this off my radar after it did this offering. I was like, you know what, I'm not interested. After hours on day one. But it did still offer a decent risk reward, and it did have this spike pre-market. But yeah, after the offering, I kind of wasn't interested. But as it had this excellent first green day, like I said, it kind of gave me more of an inclination to try PHIO after its offerings. So the final first green day for us to look at is where is it? Yeah, DWTX. Now this one, really great setup. Now the issue with this, well, I'll get to the issue, but let's start by looking at the daily chart. Okay, so again, like, look at the sort of similarities between them. Day one, well, that's probably day one, so third day surge, but a huge increased volume and almost like another day one move, to be honest with you. That's the way that I viewed that anyway. And then this day two, it is its first red day. Let's have a look. It is its first red day, but it's only down 15%, and that's because it did have this sort of, this is an amazing move. It did give back quite a lot of its gains. Okay, but you got to realize as well, it's gone from like $3, or it's almost up 1,000%. And the thing with DWTX was this: the stock market had previously been, for the past week, very sort of quiet, and so the tick. This was the ticker that ignited ignited life back into the small cap realm, and so this is going to have a lot of eyes on it, and people are going to recognize this ticker. So even if though it gave back some of its a significant 50% of its daily gains, it's still it was still on my radar. I still felt this, this was one that people would be watching, and so could have momentum. Now and then it had a gap up the next day, and then it kind of had a big I say a big first red day. It was only down sort of 15% on the day, but at this point here it's down 66% off its highs. Okay, so it's a really significant retracement, and that's one reason why I thought, what, if this offers good risk reward tomorrow, I'm going to take it. And in the morning it came down and it hit these levels here, which is a possible area of support. This would have been even better in my opinion, this level, but yeah, still you don't know what level it's going to bounce from. So yeah, so it's still was worth in my view taking a shot. Now the issue pre-market, whereas with the others, with NITO you can see it had this morning sort of pre-market spike and sort of said, look at me, I could have my bounce day here. This didn't have that. It was still red. And so if it had opened, the market opened here, I probably would have took even bigger size, because I'm risking off the pre-market lows here. But I did start in the pre-market at 980, risking about $1 a share, so pretty small size. And then what I saw was I just kind of started sizing in around here, working off this level of 10. I wasn't going to risk it all off this level. I would have just cut half, because I started sort of sizing in to more than I was willing to risk. Now my ultimate price target was here around $20, but I kind of lacked conviction and belief that it would reach there, and so when it had this kind of, I just sold all the way up here. My best sell being I think it was 1540 or something was my best sell. So it was pretty good, pretty pleased with that. I made 1,700 on that, so yeah, pretty pleased. And then kind of had to watch it sort of go without me. And I really would like to get in the habit of just leave 50 shares on, just leave 20 shares on or something, and just see what happens, because I guess over time, if I do that, I can sort of begin leaving more and more shares on, because generally my profit taking skills have improved and seem to be more in alignment more with sort of the range of the stock and the strength of the overall stock market. So yeah, could do with being a little bit more patient, but at the same time I recognize that my patience has improved. This was a tricky one really, given that it was just so illiquid pre-market. There was no sort of opportunity to take real size, and it was a little bit too far away, and who knows, it's still red on the day at this point. I think red green was 1140, was it something? Yeah, 1130 I think red green was. So I'm buying in anticipation of that sort of red green move and first green day. So yeah, pretty pleased with how I traded that overall. I did miss a significant part of the move, but $1,700 is quite good, and I'm having a decent month overall. So yeah, I hope that is of some benefit for you guys. I do miss Roland Wolf's chat room very, very, very much, and I hope to be back there chatting with my friends and learning from the people there as soon as possible. But for now, yeah, still kind of taking it easy. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope there's some value in this for you. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.